AG. Come on up. How you doing, Real AG?
What's up? Am I in? Oh, yep, I'm in. Okay. Originally, I was gonna ask you about the number 8, but then I was like, I see number 6 got my interest even more.
Well,
What's a
I
better
mean,
system?
if you have your particular, I mean, like you know that I'm like your bleeding heart liberal. You know that like I'm just a Democrat. So like, you know, if you can think of like a Democrat position, chances are I likely agree with it. But just because something is democratic doesn't mean therefore I must agree with it. I'm sure there might be something that I would disagree with regarding a Democrat position.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
I just want to know what would be a better system than democracy?
What would be a better system than democracy? The only thing that I could potentially think about would be like if there was example of philosopher king, like what was said in Plato's Plato's Republic. Yes, that could be possible, though I would venture to say it is likely improbable and most likely not really possible because a philosopher king would be exceedingly rare.
Okay. I didn't know if you were like trying to say like sometimes like in like times of like when the people can't decide, just one person just comes in and says, "Oh, nope, do it this way."
Yeah, do you
I'm
know
not
what I
really
mean
here
by
for
a
that.
philosopher king?
Like I assume you're talking about like a divine leader who always makes the right decision for his people.
Yeah, I mean, like they're not there like inherently selfish and out of power, and they understand their philosophy, and so they come up with the best decision.
Yeah, I get you there.
You know, it's a person who just makes the right decisions. And the reason why it would theoretically be better, because if a person like that did exist, and I'm saying that that is very unlikely that this person would exist. In fact, it's more probable that they don't exist as opposed to they do exist. It would theoretically be possible if a person like that did exist, that like the long and arduous processes of bureaucratic relations would actually be subverted under this philosopher king style. But because this idea is just so quixotic, it's never going to happen. So it's likely going to be democracy. But I'm just saying, like in theory, it would be better.
I don't know. I'd still like to, even if it's like the wrong decision, I still want the people to make that decision.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not against the, democracy at all. I'm just merely operating like, hey, there could be a hypothetical where like something could establish better results.
Mm. All right. How is socialism a result in the destruction of society?
Oh yeah, dude. Have you seen it? It's awful. Destroys
Right.
everything. It's a fucking
How?
nightmare. It
How?
kills innovation. It no longer becomes compatible with trading with other nations. It ends up being entirely aggressive towards nations that just happen to choose capitalism as opposed to not, because the
How?
entire purpose is to destroy the bourgeoisie.
Right, but how does it do those things?
The reason why it kills innovation is because when everything is handed out to you, there's no incentive to do anything. And let's say if you did want to do something, well, that stuff is effectively not yours. You wouldn't really seek any reward or benefit out of it. You'd just be doing it out of the good of your heart and not through the machine of that is greed through humans.
Wait, what do you mean handed out? I'm confused.
So if there's the workers' ownership of the means of production, there would not be a ruling class that would hold the wealth.
Yes, what's wrong with that?
There's no incentive to like make money.
It's incentive for the people to make their money. What do you mean?
An incentive for people to make their money. Well, who is going to like deal with a situation such as like if they have to like yeet an entire wing of the company because it's no longer profitable? Do you think that the workers are going to vote for that?
No, the workers would probably. I don't know what the
They'd
workers
probably
would vote
vote in
for.
their own favor because they're the workers.
The workers would probably vote for whatever is suitable for the company to keep it going on.
Oh,
Whether it's
wrong,
big,
wrong.
what do you mean? This is
No, they
no.
would
What do you mean
absolutely be
wrong?
voting in favor of themselves. They would not yeet themselves out of a good job.
I
They'd be
didn't
like,
say
"No,
you
we're still
themselves out of
useful."
it.
Even if
I didn't
market
say.
conditions change, they would not. They would do everything in their power to remain relevant and
Well, I never
justify
said.
their position.
I never said they would yeet themselves out of their job. What I'm saying is whatever position they would take to help that would best suit the company. This is like borne
Yeah,
out in
what
the
if
data
that
of
means
other
firing like
other
1,000
countries.
workers?
If
What
that's
if
what they
there's
have to do.
1,600 employees and the only way that that company exists is by firing 1,000 of them?
What about pay cuts? That's usually what happens in worker co-ops.
Uh, Pay cuts as opposed to like getting rid of workers that are no longer have a market advantage?
What market advantage? Like,
Well, there's the market changes, innovations change, companies become efficient or inefficient depending on what they're invested in, and they could lose a lot of money due to the lack of of people buying their products or service. And so you have to make a sudden change to the company in order to allow it to live. It's like having a gangrenous leg, like it has to get removed, and the argument is to keep the leg.
so why not heal the leg?
I'm saying
Right,
it's not
heal the leg.
possible.
So why wouldn't it be possible?
Because market conditions and market changes happen.
Okay. What does that have to do with like getting? Why do you need to get rid of the workers in order for that to happen?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Why do you need to get rid of the workers in order for that to fix problems?
Because sometimes you have to get rid of workers in order to allow a company to continue existing. It just depends on the
Why would the
situation.
company not exist anymore if we got rid of workers?
Huh? The most expensive asset in a company or the most expensive expenditure is people. By far. It's not even close. It's by far the most expensive
Who
thing.
own the companies own like majority like are billionaires and millionaires. What
I'm
all the
saying
money
it's
and
still
assets
the
they
most
collect
expensive
doesn't
thing,
matter.
and sometimes you operate on very razor thin margins. Though while the amount of metrics is quite large, equating into the millions of dollars, the margins end up being quite small. So if you have like a sudden market shift or sudden market change, sometimes you have to fire workers. Sometimes you have to
All right.
fire an entire wing of workers. Sometimes you have to fire 80% of the company for the company to continue.
Why would you need to fire them under a socialist under like socialism?
Because market conditions change.
No, I'm
Innovation
saying,
happens.
No, I'm talking about if we were talking about socialism, which is worker-owned means of production, abolition of the commodity form, then they would not need to be worry on their own job to still produce their labor. If they still want to produce their labor, they can do it.
I'm lost. Could you repeat that?
I'm saying if they still want to work in they can still produce the labor they want to produce. They don't have to worry about the company funding them. They're still able to live off it. They're still able to live and survive. So
What?
why would they just leave the if they didn't?
I'm
have to
saying
leave,
that that
they-
portion of the company is no longer profitable.
Okay,
So they will make justifications as to why that they should still continue working there, but under a private ownership model, they would just fire them and then like build up what they need to build up in order to remain competitive.
yeah.
Innovation keeps on happening.
Yeah, but socialism isn't just like for the market itself. It's also for the system that you live under.
Yeah, I mean that's why I argue for capitalism with social safety nets.
But if you have that's the thing. If you have socialism with the social safety net, why would you and you can still produce the labor because if
Is
you're
socialism
working,
to you worker co-ops?
it's not just worker co-ops. I just said worker owned means of production.
Are you arguing in favor of you are arguing in favor of workers owning the means of production? Do you find that to be a better system than capitalism?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay. Why?
Okay,
It's
so
tried
you
in
wanna talk about-
over 57 countries, and some of them were not stopped by China or by the United States whatsoever. They were completely left untouched, yet still did horrible. It was tried in over 57 countries, and every single one of them it failed, unless if you
What-
call North Korea, Cuba, and Vietnam successes.
Those aren't socialists. I don't know why those aren't socialists.
I understand that it's not literally socialism as in the workers' ownership of the means of production, but instead just
Vietnam
state
is
capitalist system.
explicitly
The
capitalist.
point is that it's attempted. There is a
Whether it was-
valid attempt to make that happen in 57. This is just another argument as to why you don't do socialism.
Wait,
It's
what
just
valid
terrible.
attempt? You just said it was state capitalist. What valid attempt was it?
It's a
The
valid
valid attempt
attempt
would be
because
at-
they believe that they are going to divest the ownership of the means of production from the private ruling class to the working class. But because when you have because
they
power
rule
ends up
in
corrupting
state.
absolutely, you end up having it stuck in a state capitalist system, and it never transitions. This is yet another problem regarding socialism, but we don't even
Yeah, I
have to
don't
talk
believe in a
about that.
I don't want a vanguard. I don't. I never came on here like advocating for vanguards.
Yeah.
I want this. I want the workers to control the means of production. I don't
Why?
want the state seizing them and giving it, and then not giving it back to the workers. I want the workers to have that stake in the company.
What about like I know that there are like companies that work really well as worker co-ops. Like one example would be like mining corporations. Those are quite often worker co-ops because what happens is in a mining corporation, you actually like find the wealth. Right. And so there's like a vested interest to continue like mining. Right. So that way you like get, more of the share. And that's why you are effectively a worker co-op in that instance. But like that may not necessarily be like so good for, let's say, like you're working at a grocery store where like you've got an initial public offering and you've got like one person that just decided to invest in, I don't know, $15 million. And you've got like, I don't know, a 16-year-old that just started working.
Right, so they get portioned out the stake that they get for working there, and the more labor they produce, the more stake they have in the company.
Sure. I mean, I'm not against that at all, but I'm saying that there are instances where private ownership models work better, and that there are instances where the worker co-op model works better. It just depends on the situation. But you're arguing that you got to get. Wait? How about this? Well, I'm not going to bury.
No.
I'm not going to bury the idea. Is it under your society? Do you think it's okay for there to be private ownership of the means of production in your society? Like, can they do that?
Not really, no.
Okay, cool. So going back to it then, if there is more, in fact, more incentive for there to be a private ownership model, like market-wise, then why are you still arguing for the only workers' ownership of the means of production?
Because wait. Why do I want only worker ownership means
Yeah.
production? Because I think it's a better system for people.
Why?
People. It's borne out in the data. That's like people who are happier who work in worker co-ops. They have more fulfillment in their job. They have more stake in the company. They weather price shocks better.
Can I ask you what the point of a company is?
What the point of a company is?
Yeah. Why does a company exist?
I never really thought about that.
Really? You never thought about that? I'll
Like,
give you a
I
hint.
know,
It's to make money. That's the answer, actually. Sorry, not a hint. They do it to make money. That's why companies exist.
Corporation? Oh, yeah, that's why they exist.
Companies
Okay.
exist to make money. That's why they exist.
Okay.
So I guess like my question is that what I would expect if there is going to be worker co-op models, it needs to actually show profit.
Wait,
It needs to actually show greater profit incentives or greater leveraging than that of private ownership models.
Wait, do you think companies should only exist to make money?
What?
Do you think companies should
I'm
only
saying
exist
that's
to make
why
money?
companies exist.
Yeah, but should they only exist to make money?
Why
There are-
else would
there
they
are other
exist?
things
Companies are
provide
boring.
service
They're
to
not
people.
fun. They're bad for the environment.
Wait,
They're
wait,
just
there are companies all around the world that are fun and like do things. Wait a minute, what?
what people don't work at a company because it's fun.
Wait.
They work at a
wait.
company because it's making money.
Hold on. When Walt Disney started his company, did they work for it because they were
Do you
able to
think
make
it's
money?
fun to sit there and animate 16 hours a day?
Actually,
Is that
yes.
fun?
Like they
You're
took-
out of your
before-
mind. You
No,
do
wait,
not
hold on.
have. You
I
do
am
not
an-
have
wait,
this.
Hold on.
Do you
I'm a
see
fine
this?
art- Wait,
Do you
hold
see
on.
that
I'm a
lump?
fine- What?
Do you see that lump on my finger? What is that lump? You know what that lump is?
What's it from?
That's an artist's callus.
Wait, hold on. I'm an
You
artist
get that
too. I know-
from
wait, hold
drawing
on.
an extended period of time,
Yeah.
and you've drawn
Wait,
so
wait.
much that you get a
For-
lump on your finger.
Unironically, First Amender, I'd never told people this. I am a fine art student. That's why I go to school for. I am big into animation. I love animation. I love 2D animation a lot. I know this for a fact. During at the time when Walt Disney went bankrupt his first time, before they made Cinderella, everybody there took a pay cut.
Why
'Cause
did
they'd
he
rather
fund a
work-
company?
Why did he find a company? Because
Yeah.
he wanted to make an animated studio. That's
He
why.
wanted to make money.
It wasn't the only
Make money.
Like I'm so
It's a
wait,
company.
I'm sorry. wait. I'm sorry. Do you know anything about the history of Walt Disney, its founding, and how it started, and all that,
Don't
and
need
all the
to.
nine old men?
Companies
Ah,
exist to make
okay, I
money.
see. So no, I'm
Why
sure of
did
this. It
why did
wasn't the
Disney
only
buy
reason.
why did Disney buy out Star Wars? Can I ask you?
I'm
Was it because
talking
of the
about the
fun of it?
inception.
Was it
Wait, hold on.
fun to
Wait,
buy
hold on.
Star
Hold on.
Wars and deal
Hold
with
on.
all
Hold
those
on. Hold on.
litigatory
I'm talking.
processes? Or was
Wait,
it to
First
make
Amendment. First
money?
Amendment. You're running away.
What do
I'm
you mean?
talking
I'm just
about
telling
the
you what
inception.
what
I know.
Disney's motivations are. It's to make money.
I'm explicitly talking about the inception of the Walt Disney the Disney Brothers Corporation that turned into the Walt Disney
All right,
Company.
fine. Like, I mean, like maybe they were
At
like,
the
yeah, I don't want to work like a regular job. I want to be able to start my own company, and that would be fun. But like, obviously, the whole
wait,
purpose
hold
of
on.
making a company is to make money.
No, but
Otherwise,
no.
if there was no need, you wouldn't make a company.
No, I'm talking about
What?
you just wait. You said that it wasn't fun to work to have a company or work at a company, and I'm telling you right now that there's companies out
I
there.
mean, like, it's not fun to balance the books. It's not fun to
Of course, wait,
to like draw 16 hours a day. It's not fun to do these things. It's not fun to
wait. I
clean.
love.
It's not fun to do the
Wait, hold on.
accounting. It's not fun to do the inventory processing. It's not fun to be a manager. It's not fun to be in fucking HR. None of these things are fun. But boy, is it fun to watch a cartoon, isn't it?
Wait. First Amendment. I get enjoyment out of some of the things you said, like animating. I love drawing. First
What?
of all.
Not 16 hours a day.
Oh no!
There's
Wait.
no
Hold on.
fucking way you're going to be having fun after that. You're going to be
Well,
exhausted fucking
I
two
think the
weeks
most
in.
I've animated is 10 hours. I'm not animated. Drawing is like 10 hours a
Yeah, I
day,
know.
and
It's
it
a
was like for a
lie.
month.
It's a lie.
It was for a month. It was pretty fun actually. I liked it.
Fucking God, you're
If
completely
I had,
missing
if
my
I didn't
point.
have to, if no wait, hold on. Like,
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, but at the end of the day, like I think that things on this planet are finite, and in order to have nice things, people kind of have to work to get the thing.
yeah,
And
I'm
so then
not
they
saying
could
that. They,
sell it, and then you could like buy it and enjoy the thing, right? Like
wait,
you like coffee, right? Do you like coffee?
not really. I like tea. I'm not a big
Do
fan
you
of
like
coffee. To
tea?
be honest. Yeah, I like
Okay,
tea.
someone had to grow the tea. Someone
Yeah,
had to
that's
like
good.
have an
Well,
LLC
first
for the
amender. I'm not
tea.
saying.
Someone had to like sit there and water that tea for months on end.
Yeah,
Someone
I'm
had to
not
like
saying that.
make the graphics for the bag that you buy your tea in. Somebody
Wait,
had to like clean the tea and get it in a way where it's all dried out and it works perfectly and it's not going to
wait,
get mold. And then they had to get the supply lines going so they could ship that shit so that way you can enjoy your tea.
wait. First amender. I'm not saying that people just
It's not
shouldn't work.
fun, is what I'm saying.
Wait. Hold on. There are people who have. Wait.
Fun
I don't
shipping
know.
tea?
There are people who work their lives doing things that they enjoy doing. Wait. Hold on.
I'm
This
not
is true
saying that's
though.
not the case, but I'm saying it's not fun to do all of these things. People will just do it because they get paid.
No, they
So that
don't
way they
just
can
do it
buy
because they get
stuff
paid.
for like other people's work. The point is that by having the private ownership of the means of production, it creates that incentive to
So
do the thing.
force people to work in jobs that they don't want to work. I don't really see the fun and freedom in
Whether
that.
or not that you
Oh, really?
live under socialism versus not socialism,
Oh
there
yeah, there's
will
going to be
always
suffering
be the
under
finite.
socialism.
Hold on, let me finish. There will always be the finite world that you end up living in, which ends up being you need to work. And I got to tell you, when it comes to socialism and its track record of like having people work less, I promise you, socialism doesn't have a good track record of that.
Wait, hold on.
However, I will grant you this. I will grant you that it is in fact the socialists that argued for like the 8 hour workday, as well as
Yes,
like the 5 day work week and like the
yes.
888
And
balancing
now a
idea.
4 day
Yeah,
work week is a Bernie.
yeah, dude, I'm not against these things. Yes, I agree. These things can actually cause you to be like more efficient or whatever. I'm not against that. Okay. But
Okay,
that's
what are
not
you against?
arguing for the private ownership of the abolishment of the private ownership of the means of production.
Yeah, that's like transitory. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
I want to get there.
Can you
I'll
give
probably
me
die
one
by the
second?
time it starts.
I have to finish my laundry. I will be back in about 10 minutes.
Okay,
I
Who's
was
on?
talking earlier with,
me.
AG?
yeah, we were talking with real AGs. So let's go back to it. Okay. I apologize for the intermittence. So
Oh, no,
let's,
it's totally fine, dude.
yeah,
get
I
it.
mean, I have no clothes for tomorrow morning. Like, I was
It's
just like, I
fine. I've
need to
had that
like,
issue.
yeah. Anyway,
Look,
sorry. So Well, where were we? We were talking about.
You're
eh,
saying you said companies only exist to make money. I pushed back on that, and now we're
yeah,
at,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like the only instance that I could imagine would be like if there was like an underlying goal, such as like a foundation or a nonprofit.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, like even they have to make money in order to like survive.
yeah, but
And so,
that's yeah,
like, their goal ultimately is also to make money. Like, the
yeah,
foundation can only be a foundation because whoever it is that set up the foundation made so much money that they can live off of the dividends their entire life.
yeah. It doesn't have to be that way.
Uh, are
Like
you
the full,
arguing for like a moneyless system?
not moneyless, of course not.
Okay, so
That
then what are you
you,
arguing? You're saying it doesn't have to
I'm
be that way.
arguing
I'm
that
talking about a money system. So what do you mean?
I'm arguing that companies are able to exist without having always having the term profit.
Yeah. I mean, I gave the argument of a nonprofit, and I've also given it in terms of a foundation. However, even they have to generate a profit in order to continue existing. Otherwise, they disappear.
Okay, so we can have markets, right? I'm fine with having a market. I think that's fine. What I don't like is the idea that the only way people can survive is through that market and through people who own that means of
Uh,
production.
I mean, like I agree with you. Like we can modify supply chains in a way where people don't have to suffer as much. But that's just arguing for social safety nets. Like I would even argue for unions.
Yeah, that's fine, but I
But
want
like
more.
you're not arguing that though.
I want no.
You're
Those
arguing
are
for the
transitory.
abolishment of the private ruling class.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually,
Okay,
we're not
that's
there yet.
crazy. It seems like a lot what you're saying.
Well, I mean, like this is like a transfer. We can work together. You're at the first.
How do you
You're at
transfer
the
the
first third
ownership of the means of production from the
like you
private
asked me like,
ruling class to the working class? How do you do that?
well, how do we do
57
that?
countries all failed, but maybe you've got the answer.
I'm not saying this like be like say any corporation that's not a large corporation, meaning that they don't have over 500 people. Y'all are now worker owned. And then for like the bigger companies, it's more of a transitory period. Like maybe certain sectors go by it this way, and then as it goes off, it comes into worker co-ops. Yeah, not for that. And then we see where we go from there.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, like, we'd be reframing all of society, correct?
What do you mean reframing all of society?
You are transferring the workers' ownership of the means, the means of production from the private ruling class to the working class. This is reframing all of society, is it not?
In the sense that there's more freedom in people working.
Is it
I guess.
reframing all of society?
How would it reframe all of society?
You are transferring the ownership of the means of production from the private ruling class to the working class. This is not
yes.
a this is not a gotcha question. It's obvious.
Yes. This is what I want to do. But how is
Okay.
it reframing all of society?
Because you are transferring the ownership of the means of production from the private ruling class to the working class. That's a giant move.
Yeah, it just means
It's a reframing of society, if you will.
Yeah, we don't. Wait, hold on. Getting rid of monarchies was reframing of society.
I agree.
We did that. So why can't we just do that for?
So
why
is it
can't we do that for
reframing of
corporations?
society or is it not?
I mean, if that like in
You
the
said
sense
you
that
said
it
Kings
reframes-
was, so why is it not
Yeah.
for this?
Oh no, if it's like in the sense of it reframing society, if it reframes society for working, then yeah, I guess.
Okay. So if it is reframing society, is it possible that it goes in a negative direction?
It can always go in a negative direction. Capitalism was better
Yep.
than feudalism, but now look where we are.
I agree. So don't you think that we should probably establish some economic models that we know will work?
Yeah, we do. Worker co-ops.
So
We-
worker
there's
co-ops
data on
work
this.
sometimes, but not all the time. You're not arguing for worker co-ops. You're arguing for the abolishment of all private ownership of the means of production, which means even in areas where it is more efficient to have the private ownership model, be damned that idea.
Wait, I just explained earlier that like the process for where this will go. I don't want to snap my fingers and then it just all happens. I want this to be a transitory
How do you do
process.
the transitory process?
I went over this. We start with small corporations and then the bigger ones, 500 or more. Then they do it like, they
So
do
you'd
like
start
certain
with small
sectors.
corporations? A corporation
Yeah.
could be as small as like 3 people. Would you say that that's the type of person that you got to go after? Not like Microsoft, or you want to start with these small little mom and pop shops?
I mean, like when I said, yeah, we start with small
All right,
corporations.
how does this work?
I think you've had more than 5 people. I think that's worth, having a worker co-op.
All right, so how does this work, right? That the guy with 5 workers has had their business for 20 years in their family, and they've got like an 18-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 60-year-old working for them. How do you transfer that ownership over to like these 4 people? Who didn't, by the way,
All right.
risk anything, right? The person that you're trying to divest put out a
Wait,
second
hold on.
mortgage on their house so they could have a chance at this business.
Hold on, wait a minute. So is this like, are we starting the company?
I'm giving
or
you
is
a
this like-
realistic situation, and I'm trying to figure out what do you consider to be
Yeah,
would
I know.
work.
I just need to know. I just need to know all like what's going on.
Okay,
let
there's
me
a
see if I got
guy
this straight.
who took out a second mortgage on their house. They
Yeah.
took out a second mortgage on their house so that way they can have some liquid capital to be able to start a business. They start their widget company, right? And then they have now 4 workers, right? They're now in the black. Great work. This guy is doing amazing, right? He's now in the black officially. So now he can actually start paying down his mortgage and making some real money. You're saying that this guy, he needs to divest all of that he just put into it, and it now has to go to the worker. This 18-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 60-year-old.
It doesn't have
How
to.
do you
Is
do
he
that?
Producing labor too. Wait, it's divided by who's producing labor. And
What?
it's like, what do you mean? It's democratic.
What about the investment?
Okay.
How does that
I don't-
work?
What do you mean? What are you asking about the investment for?
The guy took out a second mortgage on the house.
Yes.
So he invested, he has now hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hole to be able to make this business work.
So that means he just gets to own it?
Yes.
No. I
Yes.
Don't, no. If he wants to work, if he's working with people, they all have a stake in what goes on.
So you think the 18-year-old has just as much of a stake as, say, the 60-year-old?
No, I didn't say that at all.
Does the
I said
18-year-old should have just as much as the stake as the guy who put out a second mortgage on their house?
It's however they want to run it.
No.
What do you mean no? If he
Whoever
hires these
is
people-
putting in the collateral in
Wait.
the business, those are the ones that seek the profit
wait,
of
wait,
their
hold on.
of their labor. Risk
so do the-
has a market hold on. Risk has a market value. And so like if something is risky, people tend to avoid it, right? They often want to offset that risk onto other people, but as a result, they often make less in profits. That would be a worker. The guy who
wait.
started the company, this like small business owner, put in an insane amount of risk. They put their house up for collateral, hoping that their idea would work. And you're saying that the 16-year-old has just as much of a stake as the dude that has a second mortgage on the house?
No, that's not what I said. I asked you what I like. I specifically. So he started this company, right? And then This is like he didn't start this with anybody else. He just started it, and then afterwards he hired people, right?
Yeah.
And then I come in with like the magic. Oh, everyone's like all these companies are worker co-ops,
Yeah. So how does that work?
It's democratically decided.
What?
What do you mean? What?
You
The
don't
kid doesn't just-
democratically
No,
decide
wait.
to revoke people's private property. What do
No,
you
no,
think
no, no, no,
inalienable
wait.
rights
I
are?
I didn't say revoke. I said that it's
So
democratically
how do you
decided on
transfer
who gets
this?
the most money. What do you mean? They
How do
vote
you
on
transfer it?
What do you mean?
That
It's
that
all
was
the-
been my entire discussion this entire time. This guy put in a shit ton of risk, and he's still got a second mortgage on the house. And you're saying that these workers now need to own the means of production, effectively
Yes.
taking that entire investment and throwing it in the garbage. How does that work? How do you transfer it?
Wait, when it becomes a worker co-op, they democratically decide on what goes on in the company. And I don't like if
And you see no problem with the guy who put out a second mortgage on the house. That guy gets nothing.
No, I didn't say he gets nothing.
He gets an equal proportion to the fucking 16-year-old that invested dip squat into it.
They vote on how it's partitioned out.
What?
They have They democratically.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Working.
I'm going to give you a hot take. Hot take. The workers, if they invested none into the company and all they do is work, the owner owes them zip squat.
So the owner shouldn't pay. So they shouldn't pay them.
No, I never said that. I'm saying that the owner owes them zip squat because the owner is the one that put in all the risk. There's an inherent market value to risk. People don't like dealing with risk, and so they offset that risk onto other people, on people who are willing to take on that risk. As a result, some of these people go out of business. In fact, a majority of them go out of business. In fact, they lose thousands and thousands of dollars out of it. Some people lose their homes over this very thing.
Yeah, it sucks.
Okay, and then there's some that get fucking rich. But again, they are the ones that are taking on that risk, and I'm completely in agreement with the private ownership model, but you're saying that it needs to be forcefully transferred, even though that we are currently in this modern situation. You're saying that it needs to be transferred anyway. It doesn't make any sense. How does that work? You're just simply saying they could democratically own it, not what's equitable for the guy who put in all the risk. Should that guy like get his mortgage paid? How does that work? Who's paying the mortgage?
Wait, First Amender. I said this before. It's equal. It's all democratic. They all democratically decide how things.
It doesn't matter if it's democratically owned. The point is that you have to go from the guy paid his secondary mortgage into the business, so he's taking on an immense amount of risk. So generally speaking, under a private ownership model, they would receive the profits, right? If there is any profits.
Yeah, they receive the profits.
And the worker gets a fixed amount, no matter what, right? It's a contracted amount. They're owed that.
Yes. I'm saying
so it doesn't matter if the business makes profit or doesn't make profit. They still make that amount of money, one way or another.
Yes. They make all of them make money. Yes.
Okay. So if you're transferring it to the workers' ownership model, how exactly do you plan on compensating the boss, the owner who put out a second mortgage on their house?
So they all come together and they democratically decide on whether or not the owner can make, hey, can we all like vote on whether or not I should still keep it? And if they say yes, they say yes. If not, and they want everyone to equally.
Do you think if something is a democracy that it's inherently better?
Yes.
All right, gang rape.
What?
Gang rape. It's democratic.
We're really doing this.
Four people vote to rape one person, and so they decide to rape, and they're like, well, sorry, we want to rape you. And then the one goes, no, I don't want to be raped.
This isn't. Wait, I'm not even going.
How is this? This is not really that far different from the business owner, right? The business owner is the one that's getting fucked here. He's getting fucked really hard by your argument.
Yeah, workers get fucked every day by their corporations.
It depends. Are you talking about like McDonald's worker who just started working or has been working there for 5 years and is only making $10 an hour? Or are you talking about like a worker that like has gone through a trade school, makes $65,000, gets a 401k, dental and benefits? These are two completely different people.
Whether or not you are on the bottom ring getting paid minimum wage or at the top being a fucking sellout.
$65,000 a year with 401k and dental is not is not at the top. Just so you know.
No, I'm talking about at the top of your worker class, meaning that you are like a manager or something. But there are people above you who don't have
there's
to
like
work.
seniority. There's risk into the company. There's whether or not that you bought into the company. There's all sorts of things that can influence how much you get paid.
I don't care if you bought into a company.
I know you don't care, but I'm saying that they're the ones that are implementing the risk. But the worker is putting in basically no risk. They can literally get a job, and within the year they can be on Monster.com and switch like that. They can instantly go to another job if they get an offer. It is zero loss to them to do that.
The loss of not working.
You could be you could be working and also go when you get home, go on Monster.com and start applying for jobs. You don't have to lose your job to get another job.
What? But you're also being barely paid, and can only afford to pay your rent and like bare
I never
necessities.
said that you are not quit your job.
I didn't say quit your
So
job.
it would
I'm
be
saying that
entirely sustainable. You could continue working your job, and then you can like apply for new jobs on monster.com.
Okay, but wouldn't it be better if you didn't have to do that?
Sure, but like again, now you're having a problem of like you live in a society where things are finite and we can't make things infinite.
Okay, we can't. You're right. We can't make things infinite. We
Yeah,
can
so
pay
there has
workers
to be like a
more.
mechanism for that,
can
and we
pay
call
wor-
that
we can-
prices.
We can pay workers more. We can give them more democratic.
That would just
like,
be
ownership
arguing
in
for
their
unions, but
corporations.
you're not arguing unions.
I am pro union. I'm
But
saying
you
that.
didn't argue.
But
If you stopped at unions, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
yeah, I want
We
more.
would just be
I want
agreeing.
more. I want more. Like that's the thing.
You
I
want the
want more.
workers to own the means of production. You
Yes.
specifically said you don't even want a private ownership model, which literally means that would no longer be pro-union at that point. Because even unions operate at a private ownership model, but I think the unions do a really good job in reeling in the excessive
need a
power that
union.
happens from corporations when they effectively control like who gets hired versus fired. I
Wait, you
agree
wouldn't
with
need
you.
a
I think there
union.
needs to be a
It's baked
union
in.
to be able to negotiate prices, but that's
Wait.
an argument for unions,
The
not
union is
worker
baked
ownership
in.
models.
Wait, but union is baked into the corporation at that point. You don't need a union. It's baked in.
What? No, we have right to work laws that are on the books specifically designed to push unions down. If you really argued it or wanted to have
no, when
unions,
you tell us-
easily you could argue in favor of removing right to work states. I think
Yeah,
right to work states are a travesty. I think it's
Oh yeah,
like
I know. I
much
live
much
in one.
worse
It's
off.
fucking shit. I fucking hate it. But
Yes,
what
so
I'm
then,
saying,
but you're arguing for the ownership of the private ownership of the means of production to be eroded away, and I think it's just
yes,
too
I
extreme.
don't think one.
I
Wait,
think you're
hold
too
on.
extreme.
I don't think one person or like a bunch of shareholders should decide the fates of like hundreds of not, if not
I've
thousands
already
of people.
explained why that's the case, or why it's necessary to do that.
It's necessary to do that because they should have all the money at the top and it should bloat out to
No,
them
I
only.
never argued that. And by the way, unions are able to resist the very thing you're talking about. Just so you
unions
know,
can
right?
only
Like
do so much.
you realize, like
wait, hold
one
on,
example
first
is
better.
like it's like would you rather live in a society where everybody gets paid equally $20,000 a year, or would you rather like live in a society where it's like at the bottom end it's like $30,000 a year, and then there's like people that are like way at the top. There's like 100 people that are at the top that are making like 5 billion plus a year.
Wait, hold on. First Amender.
Which society
I
would you
never
rather
said-
live in?
I'd rather live in a society where your labor determines how much you get.
We kind of
That's the answer.
actually already live in that society.
No, we don't. We do
Believe it or
not live in
not.
that society.
We
No,
do,
we
we
don't.
kind of do.
Wait, hold on. Do managers do more than like the construction workers under them?
Yeah, it depends.
No.
It depends on the
no.
decision making and like how much it impacts managers. Absolutely, like it's not just menial labor. You understand that like there's more than just like digging a hole, right? You understand that like you actually have to be able to understand like I don't know, like let's say if like there's worker grievances or like scheduling conflicts or inventory management or like all this shit that a worker never really has to really think about.
Okay.
So a manager has an actual market value there.
They have a market value
Right,
because
like-
they do intake, something that could be taught to like their construction workers.
What? You generally need centralized management even in worker co-ops.
So wait, with management,
In
why
fact,
should a manager if the
Worker
manager's
co-ops are
producing
highly
less?
hierarchical.
No, they're not. If
Yes,
wait,
they
hold
are.
on. Wait, hold on.
Look
If
at
a
the
manager-
look at the biggest one that everybody likes to cite, Mondragon.
Mondragon?
It's one of the most
Mondragon's not even
highest.
that
It's one of the most hierarchical
Wait,
systems
hold on.
out there. It's
Only
super
parts of-
hierarchical.
wait, only parts of Mondragon are a worker co-op, and two.
It doesn't matter.
Wait, hold on. Hold
It's
on.
still
I want to get back to
hierarchical.
the. I want to get back to the manager's thing.
I'm just
Why-
saying
wait,
it's still hierarchical.
I'm saying, why should a manager get paid? Like, there are managers who literally sit at an office desk all day and like collect a check and then don't really do anything. And then there are people who in his like firm actually do the work and just hey boss, I did this, and then they put it all together for him, and then he shows the side screen to the people at the top and then gets paid more.
Yeah, I suppose that that is possible. But the problem that I'm having with is that you're assuming that all managers are like this, or that a majority of
No, I
managers,
don't think
or even
all.
some managers are like this. The problem that I'm having with this is
Wait,
there's an
Chris,
actual market value to managers. That's why
what?
managers get paid the amount they get paid. Why do you think, what, okay, how about this? Why do you think a CEO gets paid in the hundreds of millions of dollars per year? Why?
I don't know. I honestly
You
couldn't
have
tell you.
no idea why?
Wait, hold on. Yeah, but wait. I'm sorry. Like, what did they do? What is this? Like, what do most CEOs do? I want to know. I really want to know. They
So
go to shareholder
there
meetings
exist
and then go on
CEOs,
private
right,
islands
in
and take
companies.
vacations.
There exists CEOs in companies that what they do is that they have a proven track record of establishing profits for a company. They specifically will reformat an entire company that is like huge and gigantic, basically requiring a very, very, very specific set of skills in a very, very, very specific field in order to be a CEO in that location. So after you have done that, right, and then you've gone through company after company, making millions and millions of dollars in profit, because you bring in millions and millions of dollars in profit by reformatting companies, they pay you more. And the more you do this,
So
the better
telling
you get at
so
it. And this is how
telling
you
which
get paid even more for it, right? So it's like
telling which workers where
exponential.
to
So
so
paying, let's say, for example, you have a CEO where they're willing to take in, I don't know, $2 million a year. This CEO likely does not have that much of a proven track record. But the CEO that gets paid $150 million a year is able to show that they have made billions of dollars in profit per company that they've worked at, and they've reformatted it in a way where it makes billions of extra dollars in profit. So why would you not pay that amount of money?
Hey, Amanda.
Wait,
So,
hold on. Now, all you're telling me right now is that a CEO just decides where people go.
Yeah,
That's all you're telling me. They delegate
based
where
off of
people
market
go.
trends, based off where they think that it's going to go. Yeah.
Why can't the workers do that themselves?
What? They're not
Why?
an expert in the field. They're just some freaking random worker.
Wait, hold on. If they're brought into these and they democratically decide what they want to do with the
What?
corporation, how they go.
Do you think that like, I don't know, a line operator could possibly understand, like, let's say, I don't know, market analytics and trends, and be able to like determine the standard deviation of like an entire like stock market portfolio
No.
and like thousands
Wait,
of different stocks based on
is
like
that all
several
this?
different wings in a specific multinational corporation? You think
Wait,
that
does
they
the
really
CEO,
can understand that?
wait, did a CEO do CEOs just do that all by
Yeah,
themselves?
no, they
No.
sit there
Oh,
and then they get the market analysis and then they figure all this stuff out and then they actually put it into implementation. Sometimes it fails miserably and sometimes it does really, really well. The ones that do really, really well, those are the ones that keep getting hired and they keep getting paid exorbitant amounts of money because they literally make billions of dollars for companies.
wait, hold on. You're telling me all that. What labor did they produce besides deciding
It's
where these
not
workers
about the
go?
labor that they produced.
So,
It has an
I see.
exponential
See,
effect.
okay, that means I don't give a fuck. It's about the labor they produce to me. It's about what you do for the corporation, what you do for your
I've
company,
already
what labor you're
explained to you
producing
that a
to life.
corporation
I've
or a value is not determined as to how
and I've
deep of a
already
hole you can dig. I've already told you this. There's more to it. A company needs to
yeah.
make money, and CEOs indeed make money. Now, how about this? If you asked me very
Wait,
specifically, if you said like, do you think, CEOs should make 1,000 times more than their lowest paid employee? No, I don't. I really don't. I think that there needs to be a cap.
no,
I
I never
agree with
said that
that.
either.
But again, like I don't really care whether or not that there exist billionaires in my company or that there exist billionaires in my world. What I want to see is that like the bottom rung, like it gets elevated a little higher, right? So people
Yeah,
don't
and
suffer as much. And if that means that there's billionaires, so be it. I literally don't give a fuck.
no, I can't deal with that. Sorry, man.
We'll have to agree to
That's not where I
disagree.
go. All
We'll
right,
move on to the
fine
next
then.
person. I see that